Hey, good afternoon. So I made a faux pas. I went live actually about an hour and 15 minutes ago, and I went live on in the wrong channel. So this is the channel I wanted to go live on, and it's a really good episode. And I'm going to attempt here to actually share it, almost like sharing a YouTube video or something like that. So and then I'll play that particular one. So let's give this a shot here. And I'll just double check a couple of the, share the audio. Cool. This should work. Hey there. Welcome to Coalition. I'm going live on my own today. I had something on my heart I wanted to share with everybody. And it's related to some pretty dynamic things that have happened in the last week. Had a really marvelous podcast recording in Utah this week, and this Sunday is going to be a very special episode. It was really weird, like the stars aligned, and I had this gap in the schedule while I was out there. And then Callie, who is one of the engineers of the podcast, I had asked her about the shooting with Charlie Kirk, and I said, is there anyone that that was there? And she knew some people, and she said one person in particular was really struggling. And I, not thinking of filming, but I said, well, hey, how about having them come over? I'd love to do some work with them. Beatitudes, a trauma release kind of thing. And she lit up, and she got a hold of him, and he came the next day. And while I was saying goodbye to some folks that were previously on the show, he slipped in behind the microphone, and it was characteristic of me, because I'm like, oh, great, another guest. But I actually thought, no, this wasn't something I was thinking we were going to record. And I mentioned, hey, Ben, we don't have to record this. And he said, no, this story needs to be told. There are 3,000 people there on the ground at the shooting, and it's important that the story is told. So the editing team is working feverishly to get that done and move it at the front of the queue. It's going to be launched on Sunday. So if you're not subscribing yet, please subscribe so that you can get notified of that. And I encourage you to watch it. It's just such a very moving and touching and healing testimony from Ben, who's actually a freshman there at UVU. And then I had an opportunity to coach a couple people this week where the Beatitudes landed in a new way. I just realized the power of this work. It's just absolutely incredible. And I'm going to share the story, and I'm also going to share a metaphor that's true that happened, that reminded me of the power of God in our life. And so the metaphor first. So years ago, we have two big silver maples in the backyard, and years ago, when the leaves were falling, there were these big black spots all over the leaves. There was some kind of disease in the tree, and every year there's dark spots, and it wasn't something that could be cured. Apparently, I had talked to an arborist who had done some tree trimming, and he's like, "Yeah, there's really nothing you can do." So I come across this technology. It's called the DPE 100, and think of it like a lightning rod for all the Wi-Fi and waves of energy we're bombarded with every day. And it goes about 4 meters into the ground, sticks out just a little bit, and it has water. The ground needs to be a little bit moist, apparently, to create the conductivity. But it recreates the atmosphere of 100 years ago, because it takes all those bombarding, energies, these wherever they're coming from, and grounds them, and the atmosphere changes. That fall, like just a couple months later, all the brown spot, those black spots on the leaves, all went away. And that year the leaves fell and they were just beautiful, crisp leaves. And it didn't stop there because my neighbor had a tree that was nearly dead in his parkway. And I remember seeing it. He had pointed out, we had talked about it. He was thinking about taking the tree down. And he knew what I was doing with this DP thing. And we didn't think anything of it. Next spring, he says, "Mark, check out the tree." And I look up and full growth where it looked like the whole thing was going to die. And I said, "I wonder if it's because of the DP 100, and nothing else changed. And he hadn't done anything to the tree." So it's just interesting. And I share that because of the power of the Beatitudes and what I witnessed this week in a couple of people who had the opportunity to work with them. And the first one, she had been really challenged with a number of things, and we spent about an hour together. And really, all we were doing is the Beatitudes, just as I was taught how to practice them. And at the end, she said something that I think it's happened a couple of times, that it's this, dramatic over the years, so it's not the first time, but it was just a reinforcement when she said, "Mark, what we just did was more powerful and effective for me than the last 5 years of therapy combined." And that's a big statement, right? Anyone who's gone through some stuff knows that that's a big, bold statement. And this is not even trying to replace therapy or anything like that. Just like I would never try to replace my arborist. But the point of these stories side by side is by restoring the environment with the DP 100 such that nature, including us, because we're in it, we're involved in this too, right? We're living in this home, and so we get the benefit of this technology grounding as well. But the tree showed it quickly. It's so quick. And so it's like, okay, I could say, well, there's nothing that my arborist did in the last 5 years to remove the black spots from the leaves, and yet put this in, restore to its natural state, its healthy environment, and suddenly it sheds the disease. And that's what I was hearing in this. It's like, not that the therapy is even bad, or was ineffective. It's just that by doing the deeper inner work, it's that much more effective by going to a place where you're allowing for God to come in and restore those areas and those parts that maybe you didn't quite have the capacity to get access to. And when we open that up and we invite God's love in, things happen. I can share with this woman, our goal wasn't to change anything. And I made very clear, I'm not a doctor. This isn't therapy. We're just practicing, what the Bible teaches us to practice. And if we practice it, then whatever happens is the work of our Creator. And let's honor that. And so I wanted to share that particular story in contrast with the tree story, because it's just so illustrative of the power of these tools. So if you're interested, by the way, and you don't have the book yet, The Lowly Prophet is a fiction story, and you can start reading it for free and actually get a really powerful prayer. It's about a 15-minute meditative prayer for free as well. Just go to thelowlyprophet.com/free, and you can start reading. And if you like what you see, I encourage you to go to Amazon, buy the book. Or if you'd like to support our ministry of going out to churches and campuses and really sharing, this good news so that more and more people can start practicing these tools effectively, then I encourage you to get out there and support us in a deeper way. There's an invitation to support at just $4 a month. It's in the description. And at $4 a month, I actually was, I would say, told, I would say guided, except I ignored it, 3 times over about a year. But I was pretty much told, or I was told, charge $4 a month and give people access to the digital books and programs. And so you can read the whole book by signing up and contributing. And it's not paying for the book, you're contributing to the ministry. It's just to help offset expenses. If you want to give more, you can, but $4 a month, you're going to get access to everything and invitations to special opportunities as well. So I invite you to explore that. And one last cherry on the top of this Sunday, and it'll be a pretty short live today. And that is a friend of mine and I had a conversation, and this friend is going through a pretty challenging time, and I just felt like it was important enough to bring to God. And in my prayer, God guided me to text him. And I just shared like, hey, I think there might be a way to support you, through this challenge. And we got on the phone a couple days later, and he shared at the end. And again, I just invited him to lean in on the Beatitudes, and we practiced these around the topic that he was dealing with. And what I found was it was pretty impactful, for him. And he said that in 20 years of this work, he's only had a couple of people really lean in this way. And this was one of those occasions. It was really shifting him from one point of view to another. And that's the third beatitude, where we let go of attachment to the way we see it. We allow things to soften in the breath with beatitude 1. And then we allow for those hidden hurts and pains and the things that might be emotionally trapped within us to release in beatitude 2, through the mourning process. And then in beatitude 3, we're really the idea of letting go of the way we think it's supposed to be or is, and allow God to inform. But how can we hear what God's informing us of if we're hanging on to it being the way that we needed it to be, or thought it should be, or that it was, and we can convince ourselves and bring in evidence. But Beatitude 3 says, hey, let go of all that evidence and invite God in. And in doing so, what happens is the Holy Spirit really brings forth through us new insight, right? And when we get that new insight, it's going to lead us in an opportunity to move into that unified will with our Creator, and that will always lead us in a constructive, perfect way. Bless you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. Please, if you like this content, obviously, and you're not subscribed, please subscribe, like the video. We're new to doing the lives, and it'd be great to inform more and more people who want to really find their center with our Creator and allow for Jesus and those ways of Christ to be developed in us, activating the full expression of our life today. Bless you. All right. Okay, so that was probably a little bit on the unusual side, right? Seeing me. That's why I stepped away, so you wouldn't see two of me there. So glad that you're here. Thanks for joining us. And next week, I'll go live on the right channel at the right time, so you'll actually get notified. Bless you. Take care.